Okay, so I have to say, I'm actually I'm really glad that I started doing these again. I'm actually really glad that I did a video instead of a live stream because I feel like the audio is better. I'm just kind of sharing that with y'all, even if, I don't know, I'm just sharing that with you just because, where do I start? So I'm really proud of myself too because I actually timed things really good today. Like I got my day started right, but I also spent some time with my roommates and then still was able to stop in time. I always say like I'm probably gonna edit this out, but then I don't. So I'm just gonna go right into it. So I'm gonna tell you what I was thinking about, like what I wanted, what's been on my mind. That's what I'm gonna say, like what's been on my mind. And it really is, this is like it never fails. Every time the most profound, like revelations that come to me are always like the most obvious, just like basic, like how did I not see this before? But I mean, it just goes to show like how bogged down, how easy it is to get bogged down with, just everything that you overlook, the really most important, most fundamental things, especially when it comes to, serving God. It's like, something that I'm very guilty of is getting so caught up in how I can serve God that it becomes selfish, that becomes a selfish thing in itself because I'm only thinking about, it's a in a lot of ways, it's almost like more dangerous to get caught up in that because it doesn't seem like it's selfish, when like if you're really focusing on being a good person or really focusing on, like what you can do to serve God, like it's still based in, like it's still rooted in self. It can very, very easily go from, wanting to do better or do right or serve God or help others, but it's something that I struggle with. It's something that I've struggled with for years now, is like trying to get outside of myself, like be a good person without focusing on myself at all. And but like I said, it's kind of like this, it's like this paradox of like thinking about others, like I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know. But I say all that to say, like, this is how confused I am when it comes to this. But it's, basically it's really it's like I'm going to get words in a minute. It's like everything stems from this. Everything in life, everything in my life. I'm just going to speak only about me personally, like all aspects of my life, my relationships with other people, my happiness, the struggles and the obstacles that I face, my connection and my relationship with God, my, everything stems from really at the very most basic level, like my mindset, but even more than that, like what I'm focused on and how I, like what is at the, like I have to get outside of myself, so, I just realized yesterday, and I guess I'm still realizing right now, that's why I'm not really able to make sense of it. I was like, I want to hurry up and do this video before I go to work because I was like, I need to get this out. But now I'm like, I'm still struggling. This is one of those things where it's not even about me like wanting to relay information or like share this huge revelation, but it's like, I can't even make sense of it, in my mind. Like I can't even articulate it. So it's like, clearly there's still some, like it's like I need to make sense of it, and that's why I'm very grateful for this channel. I'm very grateful that I have a way that I can kind of just lay this all out there, or try to at least, and it really gives me an idea of like how unsure I am of things that I'm like in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Sometimes when I say them out loud, I'm like, oh yeah, that really does make sense. But sometimes I'm like, right now I'm like, I don't even know where to start with this. Like I really never it's like, even when I think I've made progress. I'm still like, I can't say it, but I can't even begin to discuss it without I. Everything's, rooted in like myself. So I think I can say this, like, this is something that I'm learning. Like, this is what I've come to realize. Unless a person is in a state of, like, as long as we are in survival mode, and I mean, I say that very loosely, like, as long as we're on the defense, like in our environment with the people around us, and like just in life in general, when we interact with other people, if it's coming from a place of defensive, like, I'm trying to protect myself in any way, like emotionally, like, just like, it's just in our nature, because most of us have had to do that for so long. We've had to learn how to survive on our own because, at some point, whether it was like a perceived threat or real life. I really don't even want to be saying this right now. I really feel like I'm just rambling. I'm going to start over. I'm probably not going to edit this out because I want to definitely not portray the image that I even know what I'm talking about, because I don't. Instead, what I think I want to do is, like, I just would like, somebody else to weigh in. I don't know anything. And I'm realizing that more and more. I'm realizing that, even the stuff, all I can say is that I am trying. All I can say for sure is that I recognize that even on my best day, even when I feel like I've spent, so much energy and put so much effort into being a better person, thinking of others outside of myself, putting God first, keeping his commandments, trying to live, trying to be more like him in everything I do. Even at my best, I am still selfish, self-centered, and egotistical, like, to the core. And I feel like that's just the one thing that in itself can never be of service. Like, there's a lot of character defects, or there's a lot of qualities that a person can possess that could seemingly be not good, but you could really, I mean, if you could look at it from a different perspective. There's a lot of things that could be serve a purpose, but being self-centered, there's nothing good that can come of that, in my opinion. There's just not. Because there's no way that that it's not for your own selfish gain. So I don't even know where to begin to, I guess really it's one of those things where I'm able to admit, like, I can really admit for, like, maybe for once in my life, like, God, I have no idea. Like, I have no idea. All I know is I need you to just walk me through this every step of the way. Treat me like a little toddler that doesn't have a clue, and, like, show me how to be of service to other people, and essentially, like, of service to you, because I've spent my entire life only thinking about myself, even when it was, masquerading as thinking of others, or even thinking of God. It's all comes back to me, and how do I think I look in God's eyes? That's about me. How do I think others see me? That's about me. Like, I'm doing nice things for others, but, like, it's like God, it's like, that's what we're called to do. But if we're doing it because we want to try to earn favor with God, like, that's not how it works. It's not based on works, it's like, it's based on our heart, the intention behind it. So while those things are good, if it's not done with pure motives, it's not that useful, and it's just a slippery slope. You start doing things with good intentions, but, like, there's a little bit of underlying, like, selfish motive, and then before long, you get a little recognition, or you get that good feeling that comes from doing something nice, and then all of a sudden you're just like, I feel like it happens so fast. I feel like it's in human nature to just run with it, you know? And I'll give you an example, and this is kind of off topic, but it's really not. So there was a situation where I feel like I was presented an opportunity, and this is actually what I really wanted to talk about. So I'm just probably going to delete all the other stuff before this, but if I don't, just know that, like, just whatever. This was actually what was on my mind too, was like, so I had an opportunity to really talk, like, to engage in, like, gossip, if you will, you know, like, and that's something that really I'm very guilty of, and it's something that I really, really, it's been weighing very heavily on me. Like, I have to stop. Like, I have to repent from that. I have to stop even discussing other people, like, at all. Like, until I know that I can do it with, you know, it with it not being, like, maliciously, like, to any level. Like, as long as I, like, for now, it's just best for me not to talk at all about, especially when it's in regards to another person, because, like, I just think that it's like, that's how little control I have over it. I have no self-control when it comes to, you know, discussing other people. And it doesn't matter how often I do it, or to what, you know, like, how severe it is, like, compared to other people. It doesn't matter. You know, if I'm engaging in it at all, it's wrong. It's wrong. And it's, you know, it's a sin against God and the other person. And it's, you know, ultimately it hurts me, and it's just, it's not right. And, you know, I can sit here all day and brag about how, you know, oh, I have this many months sober. But, like, to me, it's just as detrimental to, you know, to have a life, like, to behave that way, as it is to, like, you know, use drugs and alcohol or anything else. It's like anything else, it's, you're a slave to sin when it's something that is beyond your control. And right now, I don't feel like I'm really exaggerating that. Sometimes I feel like, okay, maybe I'm making a bigger deal of it than what it really is, just because I want to get control of it before it gets bad. But I don't feel like this is one of those things. I feel like it's something that is just wrong, period. And it's not even anything that I feel like that you know, people are like, oh, like the devil. No, I don't even think it's the devil. I don't think that the devil is, like, trying to coerce me into engaging in gossip and slander and, you know, talking about people behind their back or anything like that. I think that it's just something that I have, it, you know, probably since, for as, like, my whole life, probably it's just been something that I've known was wrong, and just the only time I probably refrain from doing it is when the opportunity didn't present itself. And that's really sad to say. Like, I don't say these things lightly. Oh my gosh, I almost just fell on the bench. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't, and that's what's gonna happen to me if I don't stop talking about people. I don't say this lightly. This is not something that I'm proud of at all. But if I don't speak this out loud, confess this, even if it is just on my YouTube channel, you know, that is what it is. I feel like it's something that I will, you know, it's destructive. And it's not just like, oh, well, I'm in a sober living and it's, you know, that's what women do. But it doesn't have to be. It shouldn't be. And just because other people might, or most people do, does not mean that it's okay. And it doesn't mean even if I do it less than other people, it doesn't mean it's okay. It's just not. It's just, and with God, there is no gray area. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And it's always damaging. You know, even if it's behind somebody's back and it never even gets back to them, it's always damaging. And it's always an attack on a child of God, you know. That's literally just like slandering his creation. That's criticizing the, you know, master, like what God created, you know, and that's an offense to him, and that's not something to play around with. And I am not preaching this to anyone else at all. This is directly to myself, because it would be foolish for me to get on here and even act like I'm, you know, talking through some things, but, you know, kind of, you know, like at the same time, I'm like kind of telling other people like, oh, well, this is like, I have no business whatsoever telling anybody anything about how to live their life or what I've learned in life, because what I've learned in life is that, you know, there's no time where it's acceptable to talk bad about somebody. And if you are talking about them behind their back out of love, it's going to be very, very intentional, like planned out, you know, all rooted in love. And it's going to be very like carefully, methodically executed. And that never happens. Like, let's just be honest. Like, I don't see that happening ever. You know, I don't see people sitting down and being like, hey, like, you know, this is, you know, like we come like, you know, this is, you know, rooted in love. Like, we really are concerned about this person, and like we just need to come up with like a way that we can maybe present this to them, like, you know, with love, like that doesn't happen. Even when we say even when I say I care, it's like, do I really? And really, this is, you know, the thing that I've said this to myself for so long, and it's like, it's really a shame that it hasn't, at any point, has it not stuck to the point that it's reformed me, you know, in any real way. But it's like, if there's ever been a time that I was saying something and a person walked up, like, that I would just continue what I was saying and like, you know, and be okay with it. If that's not the case, like, I don't need to say it, period. And another thing, I don't know if this is a Southern thing or if this is something that people do everywhere, and maybe they just have different, you know, expressions, but like, I'm not trying to be mean, but, or bless her heart, or, I'm really not trying to, like, I don't, you know, like, any of those, like, prefaces, like, they don't really mean anything. In fact, if you have to start something off with, like, I'm not trying to be mean, but, like, you're probably about to say something mean. I can think of maybe, I mean, I couldn't think of specifically what it was about, but I could say maybe once or twice in my life, could I say with confidence that, you know, I said something that was maybe sounded harsh, you know, maybe something that I wouldn't necessarily want the person to hear, or that may actually hurt the person if they were to hear it, but like, it genuinely came from a place of love and concern, and was not intended to be like, you know, it was really, I mean, like that's probably happened like not even a handful of times. So any other time, even if I was saying, I'm not saying this to mean like I really am meaning, like I really care about this person and this is something that I really know, like that's not true, you know, because most things you could go to the person, you know. You may have to be a little more, you may have to be more cautious about, you know, that you may have to be more, careful with like the delivery, you know, because you don't, even if it needs to be said, even if it's the truth, even if it's for their own good, you know, there are ways to go about things. But like, I can't think of many situations where if you truly cared about a person that you couldn't go to them in some way out of love. And you know, and then also like, you know, the person, maybe the person isn't receptive to it, but at the same time, like, those are people that you got to ask yourself, like, how much do you really care about that person anyway? Like, if you know that it's just like, it's just, I'm glad that I was like, just like rambling on in the beginning of this video, because I'm like, I see how much I was dancing around like really what was on my mind. And that was like, I have to get this under control, and I have to and I did, like, I prayed today, and I'm probably gonna have to pray every day. God, like, you know, help me to, you know, truly repent from this. Like, help me to recognize every situation where and like I said, like it's not a thing of like, oh, the devil's gonna keep trying to, you know, present me, like, you know, tempt me. And it's really not that. I mean, like, I was sitting outside earlier with one of my roommates and I was like, have you talked to so-and-so lately? Like, there's no, like, there at no point was I like, you know what, I really wonder how she's doing. Like, I really care about her and I hope she's doing well and I'm gonna pray for her and like I'm gonna ask how, you know, like I'm gonna see if she knows like how she's been. Like, that's not at all, like, none of those thoughts ever crossed my mind. Now, what was really going on in my mind, I couldn't tell you. Was it that maybe I just didn't want to sit out there in silence, so I like thought of the first thing I could to like make conversation? Was it really that I just felt like, you know, talking about somebody else's life because I'm so unhappy with mine in that moment? I don't know, but I know if I haven't thought about it beforehand, then it's pretty much a guarantee that it wasn't coming from a place of love. And it's not gonna lead to anything constructive, you know, in any way. Because of course that, you know, it's like a domino effect. It goes from like asking how that person's doing or have you talked to her to like, oh, one time with this person, and then you got this person involved in it. Before long, you've got a conversation, you know, if everybody whose name was brought up in the course of that conversation, like you would have, you know, like you would run out of chairs, you know, you'd have so many people, you know, huddled up in this conversation that were a part of it, you know, just by saying their name or bringing them into it, you know, with your words, because words are powerful. And it's like, you know, if and I say if, but I know this is true, if the amount of contentment I have in my own life is directly related to or is like a direct reflect, is like, what am I trying to say? I'm not trying to say big words. Like, I'm not trying to sound smart by any means, because it's stupid. It's very foolish to even behave this way, you know? But like, the fact is, you know, if the amount of time that I spend focusing and talking and discussing and caring about other people in a negative way, or any way, not in a positive way, not in a way of like, I want to do something nice for them, or like I want to pray for them, or anything like that, like everything besides that, like that's a reflection of like how comfortable I am in my own life, how happy and content I am with myself, and really just like the depth of, you know, my existence. You know, I mean, I should be able to, number one, I should be able to engage in conversation with another person if I want to. Well, let's go even, like, let me take it a step further. Like, I should be able to sit in the presence of another person without feeling obligated to talk about anything, you know? That's perfectly acceptable, to sit in someone else's presence and just not talk if you don't have anything that you literally need to talk about. But if you are in a situation where, you know, like conversation is being had, like if I can't come up with things to talk about, like besides other people, what do I have, like what's really going on with me? Like, what do I have to, like, why is my life not going as great as I would like to? Well, that's probably why. What do I really bring to the table as far as like just being an intellectual? Like, if I can't even think of things to discuss besides other people and their problems or their lives or their, you know, situations, like that doesn't really that doesn't paint me in a good light, in my opinion, you know. Again, these are not things that I want to say. This is not like the person that I want to be. This is not the person I want to be. So I want to just lay it out there, if anything, like, if really for no other reason besides like, I want to recognize this, call it what it is, and truly make my number one priority to, you know, like stop this behavior altogether. I mean, of course I'm not perfect, but like, what if every time I was going to talk about another person, what if I talked about God instead? Or what if every time I thought negatively about another person, what if I prayed for them instead? And I'm saying what if, but I will tell you like how amazing God is, and how, like, I saw firsthand last night, like, the moment, like, the first situation that I approached with that mindset of not like, how could this affect me, or like, how could I see this in a way that, like, you know, like, just seeing it from through the lens of, like, of love. It's crazy, like, the impact that it had. It's crazy, like, it's mind-blowing. That's not me, that's God. But that's how I think, that's how available God is to us, if we just get past all of our own negativity. And again, I'm speaking generally, but I'm really speaking specifically about myself. And I'm very grateful that God allows me to see, you know, to see that so clearly, because at first it is shameful. At first it makes me just want to be like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to be around people at all because I can't control myself. Like, that's really sad. That's really sad that I call myself a child of God, that I claim that I am a follower of Christ, and I see miracles happen. Like, I see a miracle happen within the first few hours of me deciding that I'm not going to look at people negatively and talk negatively about them, and I'm going to approach situations and people through the lens of love. Like, I see miracles happen. That's really shameful to me, but I have to get past that, because even that is self-centered. I'm still not thinking beyond myself. I'm still wrapped up in my own stuff, you know. I have to get past that, and I have to just say, wow, God, like, you really are that willing and able to show up and work miracles and be present in like a very, very visible way. And it's not anything that we even have to do. Literally, it's just as simple as, like, removing all of our negative, you know, negativity to the situation. It's me doing that. And it's just, you know, I'm saying this only because, you know, I guess I thought being sober, I guess I thought maybe I would, you know, it would be harder to stay sober. Maybe I thought, like, and I'm not saying this, I mean, it has been fairly easy, you know. I don't fear, there's not many days that I fear, like, oh my gosh, what if I don't have control? Like, what if I have a moment of weakness and, like, slip up, you know? Like, that's not a legitimate fear that I have, but, like, the fear that I'll never be able to have the self-control and have the, like, be, grounded enough in, like, my relationship with God that I'm able to control myself in situations and to not, you know, engage in, like, you know, gossip, or, like, speaking badly on other people, or, like, even thinking badly, or, like, you know, putting my wants and needs, or, like, you know, my ego, like, before anything else. Like, as long as I have that fear that, like, well, maybe I'll never be able to do that, maybe I'll always be this self-centered, like, that's the root of all addiction and alcoholism in the first place. You know, the alcohol and the drugs they're a symptom of a deeper issue, and it's you know, it's a spiritual malady, which is part of that is being so wrapped up in ourselves that we can't see anything around us. And that's why one of the main premises of AA is, like, to get outside yourself and do things for other people, help others. You know, it seems so simple, but it's not. So, yeah, what I thought would be difficult, like, it seems, you know, abstaining from drugs and alcohol is fairly easy. It's abstaining from these, you know, nasty behaviors when dealing with other people. You know, when I use drugs and alcohol, I hurt myself mainly, and that's not okay. And it definitely was, you know, sin that kept me, you know, it created a barrier between me and God, and that's definitely not okay. But I wasn't really hurting people necessarily. I mean, if anything, my addiction isolated me from people, and it kind of perpetuated my own, you know, issues and addiction. But being sober, it's like, you know, the biggest challenge is, like, how do I be a person that is, you know, like it's how I treat other people, You know, it's how I, you know, it's how able I am to really love others as I love myself, you know. So I'm gonna end it there because I have to go to work, and I say that like it's a bad thing. It's really not. I only have to, like, I'm working short shifts right now because I'm training in the kitchen. So, and that's been a whole new ordeal. Not an ordeal. It's been interesting. But so I think I did time it right. Can't see my clock right now, but I think I'll be able to, like, I have my work clothes on already, so I'm just gonna like skedaddle. Oh look, there's like geese flying up. Like, it's kind of like a V. It's like a little lopsided, but that's really cool. It's very cool. They got it now. They're getting it like almost like a perfect V now. That's so cool. Nature, God really is so good. And it's like, wow, like, you know, he really designed everything so intricately and so perfectly and like with so much love. And it's so beautiful. I want to be a beautiful creation like that. I don't want to be someone who, you know, tears down God's beautiful creations, you know, with my words, like, or my actions or my thoughts. Like, I want to be something that brings glory to God, just like, you know, nature itself, or the birds, you know, in the sky, or like, you know, a beautiful sunset. Like, I could be a reflection of God's beauty, just like those things are. But as long as I'm using my words and my thoughts and my actions to tear down, you know, his creation, like that, I will never be that. I will always be the thing that, you know, Jesus had to die for, because it was just, there was no other way. There was no other, you know, well, that's true anyway, but I don't want to be that. I want to be the beautiful creation that he intended for me to be. And I want to love everything else that he created and all his children just as he does. I want to see them the way he sees them. I don't want to just have to control my words. I want the words that flow from my mouth to come from my heart, and I want it to be a heart that loves like he loves. You know, I think that's easier than trying to tame my words all the time. I mean, that's where I have to start. Right now, you know, it's like I've got to, you know, fake it till I make it in that sense. You know, I've got to learn how to just not engage like at all until I can truly get a grip on my words, when it's regards to other people or just in general, you know. But ultimately, like, you know, at some point, you know, like ideally I will be able to not have to control my words, because they're going to flow from my heart, and my heart's going to be pure, and I'm going to see things through the eyes of love, like through the lens of love, as God does. So I don't have to worry about the things coming out of my mouth being anything other than that. That's the goal. But it starts with just, you know, if I can't say something, if I can't, it really, at this point, it's like, if you can't say anything, if I can't, I just don't need to speak about it, other people. You know, I just need to, anytime anything comes up about another person, I need to be like, they're a creation of God, and he's beautiful, and they're beautiful, and praise God, and, you know, let's talk about him, you know, because I'm not going to sit here and badmouth God. I know that. I can say with confidence that, you know, if you bring him up, I'm not going to be like, well, I'm not trying to be mean, but blah, 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 blah. Like, I can definitely say at least that like, when it comes to talking about him, it's like, Olaf, like all good things, you know. So let me just divert the conversation to him for now, until I can get past this whole, like, not being able to control myself to, like, weigh in on other people, you know. Well, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. I don't mean this, like, I'm really not trying to be mean, but, like, like, no, like, that's just, like, I've got to stop that altogether. So anyway, okay, I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to probably upload this later. And thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share, and I think that, yeah, I hope you guys have a great Tuesday.